Well, hello again. um, I don't know. This is becoming rather habitual. Every week, thanks for tuning into the Electric Avenue video channel. Every week, I sort of think like, there's nothing to talk about this week. I mean, Labor Day is coming up this weekend. Hard to believe, Labor Day 2021. And I thought, there's not that much going on. And then there was so much this week, and a lot of it was sort of life events, and then there's all this stuff to show you. So I sort of resolved myself to going ahead and showing what I've got and kind of giving a little bit of a recap. Well, I think if you live in the Northeast, as many of us watching this do, you realize that Hurricane Ida was a real bitch up here. And the day it hit, I was actually rather busy in the morning. I think some people were kind of trying to get out and do some things. And then once it started, man, it really kicked up a lot of water here, as you see with all the video from Philly major highways still being underwater. And I left. I usually close around 5 on Wednesdays, sort of early, I suppose, but to get to my other uh, appointments, and which were all virtual that day. And knock on wood, the store never lost power. My home never lost power, but I didn't know if I was going to make it alive. There were some moments where crossing the Brandywine around here, I saw sparks flying from overhead wires, and the wires were whipping around, and people were stopping, and then we were driving down the middle of a road where the water was about a foot and a half deep right next to the river, and it was just pouring down these side roads like rivers of their own. So it was pretty touch and go in my little car, but fortunately I made it home okay. It took a little longer than usual. Whatever, as long as I made it. It's one of those things where sometimes you kind of wish that you sort of lived right where your business is. And in my case, I think we were sort of trying to find a place that was a little bit, had a little more room at the time. And, you go out of town here, it's a little less expensive. So that's the price you pay. You risk your life. I might reconsider that if I move again, when I move again. All right, so that being said, and thank you very much for the well wishes about my cat. Many of you know my cat has been fighting cancer. This has been an ongoing battle all year. She started kind of throwing up daily around Christmas time, and we went through a couple $1,000s of medical tests where we were told that she didn't have cancer, and we were trying to treat it as like a irritable bowel sort of situation. And turns out that when she sort of stopped eating a couple weeks ago, we had her back at the vet, and he said, "Oh no, it looks like I see a tumor." So it's unfortunate because she's only 11. I sort of mentioned that in my post, and we had already had two cats. The situation was, I'm not going to bore you to death with this because I want to get to the music, but the situation was that we had no cats for a while. Our last cat had passed, and it was very heart wrenching. She was a sweet kitty and had thyroid problems. And I had a couple of customers that I'd grown, one in particular, he and his wife, I'd grown very close to. This is getting very personal. And so much so that we'd shared a Thanksgiving dinner with them, and the following day they both died in a house fire. And it was extremely tragic. This was about, it'll be 6 years soon. And I came home a day or two later, completely bereft, and my mother-in-law was visiting, and she and my wife had gone and picked up two cats uh, at the SPCA, which was great. One was 8 at the time; she's now 15, and the other one was a baby, and she's what, 7, almost. And so it seemed like that was kind of good. And then I had a friend in between who was a little bit older than me, but she was a single lady, and all of a sudden discovered she had pancreatic cancer, and only had about 3 weeks to live, and was stressed about finding a home for her cat. So I volunteered to take her as so she's sort of in between ages, and we haven't even had her for 5 years yet. So it's kind of sad because as many of you know, my wife has been ill, and this cat has really bonded herself to my wife. So it's tough when it's the cat that's closest to you in some ways. So anyway, um, I know that was really personal, but I really, you guys, you seem to like know a lot about my life, and I think this is one of those times where I really realize how symbiotic the relationship between some of my customers and us as store owners and whatever facilitators are, and it's a really kind of a special relationship. In a way, you sort of develop a bond over time, and sort of different than maybe in some other settings. But I sort of get that same feeling when I'm teaching music to kids or whatever over long periods of time. It's so gratifying to see them grow on and go on and do something in music. So anyway, this is like becoming a sob fest. But anyway, big release this week. Big, big, big. Has to be. And I finally got the vinyl today. A few of these. Iron Maiden Senjutsu. And you're like, what is Senjutsu? Senjutsu, I look it up. It says it's a Japanese term that loosely translates as tactics and strategy. Thank you, Wikipedia. No, I don't know where that came from. But anyway, this is a triple album, so it's kind of long. I mean, it's over an hour and 20 minutes. It's about $50 for the vinyl, limited edition. So I didn't get a lot of them because they are kind of expensive. But I will say, like, if you want this, I would get out and get it as soon as possible because apparently the distributors are already out of it. And I don't know how long it's going to be before they get it again. Um, and there's also this cool little CD box set of it, which is a book form, and there's just a regular digipack if you want to save $10 over this version. That being said, this week there was an announcement that there's a new ABBA record coming out November 5th called Voyage. The reason that I'm putting this out there is, I see some of my friends out there who have stores that are soliciting for, get your pre-orders in and stuff like that. Man, I wish I was that organized. But what I'd like to say is that if you are interested in pre-ordering or wanting a copy of the ABBA, there probably will be an indie, I think there's an indie exclusive that's on blue vinyl or something like that. I would start letting us know now. The reason for that is we're going to have to start getting our pre-orders in with the record companies soon. And I have a feeling that this record is going to be extremely popular. I see it blowing up on the internet in requests. Like I said, I have a friend who has a shop elsewhere in the world, and he's already gotten more than 20 pre-orders on this. And when I see stuff like that, all it says to me is, oh boy, they're going to run out of these quickly. And, with Christmas coming, and if you want to give the new ABBA record, the first one in 40 years to somebody, you might want to think about pre-ordering that or whatever, even if it's not for you. And I think there's a regular version too. It's not very expensive. I think it's under $30, so not bad. A single record. I think what I see is maybe like 10 songs, but when it's been 40 years, that's one song every 4 years, right? I think my last video, they'd only confirmed that there were 5 songs, so there might be more. A couple of them are already streaming online, so if you want to take a listen, I mean, they sound a lot like ABBA. They're great. They're not super different. I think they're sort of like assuringly sort of what you would expect from an ABBA 40 years down the road. A little more wistful maybe, and the female voices are slightly deeper. At least I think Frida's is. I'm not really sure. Agneta sounded pretty similar, but they sound good. So you can tell this has been in the works for a while, and now's the time when you start saying to yourself, oh, that's why we haven't been able to get all these other records from Universal, because they've secretly been pressing up thousands of ABBA records over this period. So, I mean, who knows? That could be the reason. Anyway, let me show you some other stuff that's big today. There's a new Rory Gallagher box set. This is his first album. This is the vinyl version. So it was a Super Deluxe 4 CD and DVD set. This is actually not the vinyl version. So yeah, I think if you're sort of like wanting a lot of Rory, there's a 2 CD version if you don't want to spend $130 on it. Okay. One other one that I showed before that I have on vinyl here is the Beach Boys Feel Flows. It's their Sunflower and Surf's Up albums in their entirety, plus a whole bunch of outtakes and session stuff. The vinyl is sort of like, it gives you the basic albums and some of that stuff. The CDs, it's again a 5 CD set. 108 previously unreleased tracks, rare photos, and new essay. These have been very hard to come by because they're in this big book format. In fact, this showed up a week late, which I wasn't too thrilled about, but it's here. If you want one, you have to let me know because I probably won't have these hanging around. Again, they're like $130. But you can see on the back all the outtakes, all the sessions unreleased. If you're interested in this, you might want to go look it up and see what's involved. There's a lot of a cappella stuff, which, I don't know, I guess if you're a Beach Boys fan, that's sort of pretty meaningful because they're sort of known for their harmonies, right? Okay. Other things that have come out this week of note, you've got Bob Marley. This is the Capitol Studio Sessions 1973. This is a limited edition green marble vinyl 2 LP set. It's not very cheap because it's limited edition, I guess, and it's marble. They chose to do that. It has Stir It Up, Get Up, Stand Up, Rastaman Chant. I mean, it's got a lot of... This was actually the era where Sly and the Family Stone sort of made him get off of tour with them because he was basically upstaging them. So anyway, that might be of interest. And the CD is much cheaper, around $15. So also, there's a My Morning Jacket live record from 2015. And if you've been watching the My Morning Jacket news, yes, this is on white vinyl, 3 LPs. They are touring the area next week, and they have a new album coming out in October, so you can get excited about that. There's a new J. Cole, which I mentioned last week. This has been out on streaming for about 6 weeks or so, and there was a CD, and we finally have the vinyl. J. Cole, if you're not familiar, he's a hip-hop artist, and with the kids he's been blowing up this year. I think mainly because they realized that he was a good hip-hop artist and they wanted vinyl, and so his old records have really started selling. There's a new Emmylou Harris live from 1990. This is Nash Ramblers. It's in Ramble in Music City, previously unreleased 2 LPs live at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, 1990. A pretty good era for her. Sort of before she kind of had the Wrecking Ball sort of reinvention era, but I didn't show this before. It's the new Switchfoot in Terabang, which Switchfoot were really popular at one time. They still have some followers out there. Another one I think I may have shown, but it was late, was Deaf Heaven's new album. This has been sort of controversial because they pulled a King Gizzard and did a completely straightforward sort of shoegaze record instead of doing their normal sort of screamy alt metal. And some people like it, and some people are like, I don't know what this is, but it's been pretty popular, and some people who like it really like it, so check it out. A couple of reissues from the Ohio Players. We've got Honey, and Fire, and they are on orange and red vinyl. Um, they will be not around for very long, I don't think, limited to 1,000 copies each. So if you want Ohio players, don't delay. Sorry, I don't want that sliding off there. All right, Hot Hot Heat. This was a great Elevator. This is a great alt rock album, sort of strokesy. Came out, I think 2005, 1500 on translucent red colored vinyl. Music on Vinyl did those. One of my favorite records around that same era, and I don't know how many Americans know this album, but Super Furry Animals, Rings Around the World. Kind of a Brit pop sort of holdover, I suppose, but these guys were Welsh, and so there's kind of they bring their own sense of humor to things and all, but it has a kind of a funny sort of alien-esque cover art and concept. But some of the songs are pretty catchy. They sort of mix electronic and alt rock and in a particularly Welsh sort of way. Another from that sort of era, a little bit earlier, Bare Naked Ladies Maroon, deluxe edition on Run Out Groove, I believe. These are extremely limited too, and this was the follow-up to Stunt, the big album with 1 Week. This one has Pinch Me. And it sold really, really well when it came out. Some of their best songs, I think, are on here. Steven was still with the group before his sort of infamous problems with the law. That's unfortunate because he's such a talented writer and singer, and I think it really hurt them, especially since they were putting out kids' records at the time. Not to beat a dead horse, right? Speaking of dead horse, this is really sad. I have to show this again. It's Lee Perry's Return of the Super Ape. And I showed this before saying, oh, I think this is a new Lee Perry record. Actually, it's a classic, and the reason I'm I thought it was new at the time was because the color was so vivid on the pressing that I'd never seen it that bright. But it's on a colored vinyl. We lost Lee Perry last week, 2 weeks ago, sort of tragically. Another new release this week, Ceelo Green's The Lady Killer. I talk about another sort of infamous personality, but this was actually a really good record. It's on a hot pink vinyl. It does have F.U., his song that Bruno Mars wrote and produced. That was the big hit from this, but Bright Lights, Bigger City is a great song. It was kind of the follow-up to the Gnarls Barkley records that he'd done with Danger Mouse. So if you like Ceelo's vocal stylings, and his music can be pretty catchy, at least that era, I think. All right, and then Skid Row reissue. I don't have many of these. This has had 18 in Life and Youth Gone Wild and Big Guns. Those were kind of the, everyone knows that album. If you're old enough, you know that album. Okay. I guess, I don't know if I showed this, but Bob Dylan, Blind Willie McTell, 45. This is exclusive to indie stores, kind of in a lead up to the new bootleg collection that he's got coming out. I don't know if I showed this, but the new Sturgill Simpson, Dude and Juanita, Ballad of, is on CD right now. It's sort of a bluegrassy album. Willie Nelson features on it. The vinyl does not come out until December, such as Sturgill is wont to do. Then there's some reissued CDs I just wanted to quickly throw out here. Thelonious Monk, live in 1961. This is the quartet with Charlie Rouse, John Ory, and Frank Dunlop. I don't know if I said Ory right. But anyway, yeah. So that might be of interest. I don't know if that's been out before. There's a John Mayall, Rolling with the Blues live. I don't know if you can see that. It says 2 CD set, sleeve notes with featuring Mick Taylor and John McVie, 1972 to 1982 live recordings. Another Britpop band, Supergrass, In It for the Money. I think I had the vinyl a couple of weeks ago. This is the 3 CD expanded edition. It's got a bunch of live stuff. And Bebop Deluxe, if you're into Bill Nelson as a guitarist and whatever, this is sort of the album reissued, a Hammersmith Odeon concert. And yeah, new 3 CD expanded and remastered edition of the album. I know, and there might be a bigger version of that available, but anyway, so I think that was pretty much everything this week. Well, I went 20 minutes anyway. Well, I did spend 5 minutes talking about personal bunk, right? Cats and ABBA and such. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll have a good Memorial Day. Oh, I'm backtracking here. Labor Day. Have a good Labor Day holiday. We won't be open that day because currently we're not open on Mondays anyway. So try and get some lawn work done, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't that sound like fun? So next week, though, big week. Casey Musgrave's new release. King Gizzard supposedly coming on vinyl. Modest Mouse supposedly coming on vinyl. Metallica, the Black Album box set. Plus you got Low, The Vaccines, Pat Metheny, Bella Fleck, Steve Hackett. A lot of stuff. Yeah, I think we're heading into that season. So, you know, the Beatles' Let It Be is coming on October 15th. Remember to let me know if you are interested in having one of those pre-ordered in some box set-y fashion. I'll probably have plenty of the regular stuff. All right, that does it. I'm looking around behind me thinking, gosh, this is so junky back here. But would you really want a record store that is like actually vibrant to be any other way? I don't know. I could go really antiseptic and get it all cleaned up, but you know, I mean, maybe I should. We are in a COVID world, right? So anyway, couldn't get through a video without saying that word. I'm gonna try. All right, see y'all next week. Thanks. Be well. Have a good holiday. Peace.